So he may have to draw that task. And at some point, the Giants are going to try to match him up like that because they saw him get picked on last week, and you know it's coming. And, of course, Atlanta's going to try to do the same. So you just know it's coming, and I just hope for that young man that he's able to rebound quickly and kind of put it behind him because, I mean, the physical tools are there. Mentally, I just don't think he has what it takes to be a corner just yet. And, of course, if you're counting on Ken Crowley, an undrafted rookie free agent, that says a lot about your team in and of itself because you're putting all of your eggs in that basket. I think the Saints have done personnel-wise. You've got good young talent, but I think you're doing them a disservice without having a veteran in the squad to kind of help out. And now the only veteran that you actually had, he's taking a seat for the next 6 weeks. So I think the Saints need to bring in somebody. They need to bring in somebody immediately.
Hey, I hear Keenan Lewis is available.
You know, Keenan Lewis was available until he came out and basically announced to the world exactly what I told, which was, if you saw the report leak a while back that Keenan Lewis was going to need, he was seeking yet a third opinion and that he would miss the rest of the season because the 3 opinions that he got basically told him the same thing, which was he had to have season-ending surgery. It wasn't until the Pittsburgh Steelers doctors basically blackballed him that he realized he would not be able to play this year. And recently he came out on Instagram or whatever he likes to be on and said that it hurts his heart he's not available to help the team that he loves for his city, but he has to call it a career or call it a season or something like that. I'm paraphrasing, but he basically just wrapped it up. Now, if you want to add Brandon Browner, that's the man we should be looking at. I'm just playing. Everybody calm down.
Whew. Look, somebody's going to hear that and believe you, and they're going to quote you on Twitter.
I hope not. That is the worst joke I could tell, but that is absolutely a joke. Nobody wants Brandon Browner anywhere in New Orleans.
Look, man, you have to go. you just took away my breath. I don't know what to say. Wow. I got a lot of love for Keenan Lewis. I mean, he's one of those ones. I'm not mad at him. I mean, he's emotional. He's strong-willed. He wanted to play, and I just think his body has kind of given up for that. Now, I will say they did bring in B.W. Webb, just a little one-year deal. He's 26. If I remember right, he played with the Titans and played with the Steelers. So, I mean, maybe he could bring in a little Band-Aid, if you will. I'm looking up right now. He's 35 games, 40 tackles, an interception. His one career interception came against the Saints last season. So maybe he can come in and help us, make it to week 6, week 7, whatever it's going to be when we can finally get Bro back. But as you said, it's tough to put guys like Harris and Crawley and P.J. Williams in the position that we're asking them to. But also, that's football. I mean, They should be prepared for that either way. I mean, the defensive coordinator, Allen, should be preparing for that either way because Allen is a secondary guy. So he should be preparing for that.
At this point, I think it's up to Dennis Allen. Here's what we know after one game of the season. The Saints' offense is good enough to win you a game. And here's what we know. The Saints' defense is almost good enough to close it out. Now we need to get rid of that almost. And make it official.
Well, it's like one thing, and anybody who's followed me and you on Twitter know we've disagreed defensively about several things, but one thing we've always agreed on is the Saints defense doesn't need to be great. They need to be run-of-the-mill average. If they can be the ranked 15th tile of defense, this team is Super Bowl bound under this offense. The question is, are we ever going to get there again?
I want to say yes. The problem that I'm having is wondering who's going to be the quarterback when that defense is ready. The one thing I can say is that for as phenomenal as Drew Brees is, we all know he's not going to play forever. That's just set in stone. We know this. However, the question becomes is who's going to be that guy to take the Saints to the next level when they have to rely on their defense and a running game in order to get them where they need to be. And I don't know technically who that's going to be because, at this point, that's still 2 years away. But it's hard to want to say Drew Brees is going to have to wait essentially what will be 6 years because from 2012 to now, it's 4. So another 2 years from now, that'll be a total of 6 years he's wasted of his prime because the Saints didn't have a defense or a running game to complement it. That's no bueno.
Screen off.
Yeah, I'm with you on that one, man. It's like the professor connected again, but I don't know. It's the secondary for me has just been one of those. I'm even sitting here right now. You just rub your temples and you just got a headache over it. You don't know what to do. You know, we can go back. It's been years now. We've struggled in drafting defensively. We've struggled with free agent signings defensively. I can only hope that P.J. Williams and those guys really shine. I mean, because P.J. Williams already has done more for us than Stanley Jean-Baptiste did. You know, P.J. Williams, I don't know. He might be, you know, one of those future Saints players, because Delvin Breaux, as good as he is when he's healthy and when he's here, keep in mind that, you know, he's not 22 or 23. I mean, Delvin Breaux's only got what we would call 2 or 3 prime years of cornerback play in him. So P.J. Williams could hopefully be that future that we've been looking for quite some time. I don't know, man. I'm just kind of scratching my head. I don't know the Saints that we're going to get every week, and I think that's the most frustrating thing about the New Orleans Saints is, and you mentioned needing to put some stock in Rolaids or something, you just don't know what you're going to get. And I think Sean Payton doesn't know what he's going to get, because some of the moves that we've seen, I don't even know if he really knows if it's going to work. I think he's just trying to find any spark he can to light the fire that gets this team back into the playoffs, because since 2011, it's been just a topsy-turvy, up-and-down road. You know what I mean?
Absolutely. And I couldn't agree more when you said that Sean Payton seems like a guy who doesn't even know if the moves he's making is working, because, first of all, making this many moves so early into the season just screams out there's a problem somewhere. There's a disconnect somewhere. And I think Sean is just, like, basically going gray, trying to figure out where is it. First, he thought it was the offensive line. Well, you found out it wasn't your offensive line. You know, was Drew Brees, you know, too busy focused on his contract? Well, Brees has been Brees throughout the offseason, so there's no need to think that. Okay, then you shift over to the defense. And you say, well, you know, we needed X, Y, and Z, so you went and tried to solidify those spots. You know, you needed a middle linebacker because you felt Stephon Anthony, you know, he couldn't get the guys in the right position. Well, you brought in a great one in James Laurinaitis. You know, you needed some guys opposite Cam Jordan. Well, you got 3 of them going out on the opposite of Cam Jordan right now. I don't really know how many more you need. I guess if it's the old coaching thing, if you got 3 guys and you don't have one. But at this point, you know, it's kind of like you're scratching your head and you're just spinning your wheels, but nothing's taking place. And Sean Payton, when you listen to him speak, just sounds like a guy that's like, you know what? I don't even know at this point. I've tried everything.
Well, let me say this, because you mentioned his name, and I actually forgot about it. Stephon Anthony. The one thing he had last year that was a big problem, he is not a very strong coverage linebacker. That being said, but he was great at play calling and helping lead the defense. So you bring in a guy like Laurinaitis, who, let me add, has surprised me and is playing better than I thought he would. But then you put Anthony in a position that he is not qualified to play. Just like we asked Brandon Browner to play a position he was not qualified to play. And then we get upset when they're not good at that position. So why is Sean Payton, in his grand scheme of mind, because to me it can't be Dennis Allen. Surely Dennis Allen is good enough of being in the league this long to know you don't take a player like that and put him in a position that he's not qualified for. I might as well ask Drew Brees to play fullback. Why is Stephon Anthony only getting 13 snaps? Why is Stephon Anthony playing the Sam linebacker position, being forced to cover tight ends when he cannot cover, to my knowledge? I haven't seen that change through last year in the preseason or training camp. Are we basically just going to now force our first-round draft pick to get kicked off the team because he's not producing, because we're putting him in the wrong spot, and he's just going to go to some team like the Chargers or Green Bay and flourish? I don't understand. Why are we doing this?
The hard part of it is understanding the why. The clear part of it is seeing what's taking place, which is exactly what you just broke down. It's the idea that Stephon Anthony has played middle linebacker his entire life. He doesn't know anything else but that, and as you alluded to, he can't cover guys, so playing him as strong just basically is putting a square peg in a round hole. It's not happening.
Yeah.
So the problem is that the Saints aren't patient enough to say, let's wait it out when it comes to Stephon Anthony, because he was the 31st pick in the draft. The smart money, in my opinion, would have been to simply say, Stephon, we're going to let you take a back seat and learn from James Laurinaitis. Learn how to be the middle linebacker. Learn what he sees. Learn how to call plays and get guys set up in the right position. In 2 years from now, when Laurinaitis is out the door, the team is yours in the middle. But that would be too much like the right thing to do, and it'd be the patient thing to do, which Sean Payton is not. So you're going to force Stephon Anthony to play Sam linebacker, and he can't play it. He doesn't know it, and it makes a guy like Mike Mauti get snaps that he shouldn't be getting over Stephon Anthony.
Well, let me also say this.
Yeah, sure.
I understand the logic that you're saying. My only problem is Stephon Anthony last year is already better than James Laurinaitis was last year. So I can only assume that trend would continue, that the aging linebacker is not going to get better than the young and up-and-comer first-round draft pick. So why is Stephon Anthony listen to this. Malta, you just said it, got 21 snaps. Stephon Anthony played 13 snaps against the Oakland Raiders, a team with a 1,000-yard rusher and a team that just gave up a 75-yard run to one of their rushers. Why was he not on the field, by the way? I don't know.
I want to add this while you're saying it. Stephon Anthony made 2 critical plays, including a third down stop during those 13 snaps he was in the game. So
yeah.
I'm still lost.
You know, and let me say this too, because we were mentioning Malty like he didn't do good. Malty had a solid game, but Malty is not Stephon Anthony in the run game at all. It just, I'm at a loss for words. I really am. It boggles my mind that a guy as talented as Anthony, that we saw so much out of him last year, is riding the pine. And Laurinaitis is doing a solid job. I mean, he didn't do incredible against Oakland, but he did good, especially considering that he can't cover either. But if you have the 2 options in your hand, why do you not go with the young and up-and-comer and not the established vet who has nowhere to go but down? That there's no logic there. Why? And even Kyle just messaged it to me. You got to let your first-round pick have a chance over the aging vet.
I don't disagree with that, and it's going to be twofold in my statement. The first part is that when James Laurinaitis was first brought in, I was completely against the move. I didn't understand, because I knew James Laurinaitis was not coming in to be a backup, and he definitely wasn't coming in to play strong side. And I totally disagree with the idea that you move Stephon Anthony, a position in which he's comfortable and he played well in, for a guy, as you said, the aging veteran that has 1, maybe 2 years left in him anyway. Those same 2 years that it's going to take for James Laurinaitis to be here in age, you could have had Stephon Anthony maturing. Totally different situation in that. And number 2, the rumors that I've been hearing is that should Stephon Anthony not learn how to play the Sam linebacker position, he will be a casualty and he will no longer be with the New Orleans Saints.
Which makes no sense to me at all. You know, can you really afford to sacrifice a first-round pick like him? And essentially, that would mean you got nothing for the Jimmy Graham trade besides Unger, which to me, the thing that made us get away with so much on that trade was we got a Pro Bowl center and a first-round draft pick, and a first-round draft pick who did well. He didn't do bad at all. But now we're just going to get rid of him because he can't learn a position he's never played in his life, a position that requires him to cover, and he's never been a coverage linebacker. I mean, if you move him to anything, you move him to will. I mean, he'll get less snaps and see less, but at least he'll be focusing on the run and not having to cover tight ends. At least put him in the first 2 plays then. I mean, don't make him a 3-down linebacker. Just make him a 2-down linebacker who focuses on the run if you want to do the whole teach him argument. But don't take the guy out the game. And as Kyle just pointed out, Malty, who's replacing him, was in on that 2-point conversion, is one of the reasons it got given up, costing us the game in some ways.
Agreed. Another problem for
staggered,
Anthony,
man.
Another problem for Anthony, he's going to be compared to guys that got drafted at his position that are flourishing, like Aaron Kendricks, who I believe is in Minnesota now, who's playing very well. I think the problem for Stephon Anthony is he's going to be looked at as if he's not on the upper echelon. Another guy is Benardrick McKinney, who I was very high on coming out of Mississippi State. He's doing well in Houston. And now Stephon Anthony is going to be looked at as a first-round bust, if you will, for the New Orleans Saints when he's had 133 tackles last season, if I'm not mistaken. 133 tackles, I want to say, is what I believe he had.